am Michelle Chong. I'm the CEO of Honeybun 1982 Limited, and I'm also the founder of the Honeybun Foundation, founded in 2019 and founded for SMEs to create powerful business models for businesses in general, not just one at a time, but developing business models and systems for success of SMEs. So some of the very important aspects of a business to succeed. At the foundation, we've started off with two critical steps. One of them is businesses understanding their financial. And of course, a lot of people get scared when I say that, financial, but it's really not scary. When we show you how, it's quite simple. That's the first thing. They have to understand how their business is doing. So that's the financials. So that's one of the critical things. The other one is that, businesses have an objective, they have a mission, they have a goal. And they have to understand how to convert that into a project. So it's almost like project management. But the important thing is that they understand how to execute it. Because I always say in Jamaica, we have big dreams, but we have an execution deficit. And it starts right at the top. So if they can understand how to execute small bites of success, they can expand on it and begin to execute a whole business plan. But I don't think people should start off with this 5-year business plan. You don't even know what's happening next year in this world. So they have to execute short, successful projects that will lead them. So you need to set your objectives. So these are very important things for business to succeed. You cannot just have talent. You have to know what you want to use your talent to serve. What are you selling? And then what are the steps to execution? So those are important things for businesses. When I went into the business, I was a teacher before I started to be at Honeybun. My husband and I both bought Honeybun. I was a teacher at the time. I didn't have any business skills. And so that was a challenge. I didn't recognize it as a challenge at that time though, but it was a challenge. And at that time, it took me very long to do the trial and errors. So that was a challenge, even though I didn't know it. But now I recognize that businesses today also will take too long to achieve what they're trying to achieve if they don't have any business skills. Doctors go to school to learn to be doctors. I'm sure you wouldn't have a doctor perform surgery if he had no experience or training. With that said, I think one of the big challenges for SMEs is that they don't have the business skills. Some of them come to me or come to the foundation and they don't have skills in how to use some of the basic Microsoft tools. Luckily, they're living in a world where you can get that training online right away. So that wasn't available for me. So those were challenges. So I took a longer time to get where I want to get because I didn't have those skills. How did I get those skills? It was mostly by trial and error. And sometimes you make some big blunders to learn from. But I think like I said, I think very methodical, and I think that helped me a lot in business. And I really sought to understand more. And we meet some SMEs now who thirst for knowledge. I mean, when you say to them, we're having this training, they're there, they show up. So I guess I showed up in a different way, but I'll tell you, you have to want to learn. You cannot assume that you know everything. I don't assume I know anything. I'm dying to learn more about AI and more about some of the more recent digital programs that they have. So we cannot assume that we know too much. We never know too much. So a thirst for knowing and a passion for what I'm doing has been my motivation to learn and to grow. Leadership is very important, and it's one of the footstool for the Honeybun Foundation, leadership and collaboration. But if I could expand on leadership a little bit more, You know, coming through the 80s, I inherited a business where leadership styles were very different. But leadership has changed a lot. And it's important for us to understand what that new leadership is. It is about being who you want your people to become. It's not about scolding, it's about engagement, teaching them, showing them, seeing potential in them, and then gently moving them in a direction. You know, you have to listen more as a good leader. And I believe that if we could just get this new leadership model down, which is something that we do at the foundation a lot. We talk about leadership a lot. During the middle of a conversation, I might ask someone to thank the speaker. Just being able to be thankful to other people or showing gratitude are leadership qualities. So they're not things we don't have. They're just tools that we need to use more to become better leaders, because if we become better leaders, then fathers will be better leaders, mothers will be better leaders. I don't like the word bosses. I'll use the word managers, will be better leaders. Everybody in the company must be a leader for a cause. You know, I spoke earlier about having a purpose. I mean, you could be a talented dancer at a company, but why are you dancing? Are you dancing for entertaining? What is your purpose? You have talent, but what is your purpose? What are you going to try to achieve? If everybody in an organization knows, which is a company's mission, what they want to achieve through the work that they do, and they unite in a common vision, then leadership begins to be displayed. Leadership can start anywhere in the organization, but it's the responsibility of the people at the top of management to start this leadership culture, and leadership is a culture. So if the executives begin to use better leadership, have better leadership qualities, they will pass it down to their upper level management, who will pass, and it will just keep filtering down. And then you build a culture of leadership within an organization. So while I was in business, of course, you have different stages of the business. And while you're small, you have certain challenges. And as you grow, you have new challenges, and you're never without challenges. But what I have learned, and I think this is a really good lesson for SMEs. I said it to one of my SMEs yesterday. You have to be able to understand how to meet challenges and overcome them. And one of the solutions, I said, I never meet anymore with 2 people. You have to have a minimum of 3 people to discuss the challenge. A lot of time, the owners of businesses are making decisions on their own, and it's very lonely. You don't know if you're right or you're wrong. It's hit or miss. You need to develop, and this is what the Honeybun Advisory Committee provides, an advisory committee where people who have more experience than you provide advice. So, you know, you meet upon a challenge and you don't know what to do, and you ponder over it for a long time. You really need to have more than one person sitting on a discussion to make recommendations. A lot of people too use their friends, which is okay, but that's like a 4 out of 10, because your friends are probably from the same understanding as you about business. You need to find ways to meet more experienced people through networking, going out, and sticking around people who know a lot more than you. And as such, you'll be able to have more experience and accelerate if you 3 times faster than you would normally accelerate. So that was one of the things I learned. But it took me a long time to learn it, because I kept doing trial and error, because I was not exposed to this form of growth where you have other advisors. Big company get it right, you know, because they have board meetings. They have several people on their board. SMEs can get it right too. You have to find 2 or 3 people to bounce ideas off of. Because for me, I know in the 90s when things got extremely difficult, when we had the tremendous devaluation, it got really difficult. I remember rent went up like 500%. What were we to do? And that was the time we decided we would sell the business. And then I decided, you know something, how much are we going to get for it if we're not making enough money? So I decided, well, I'm going to improve on the business. But then how was I to improve on it? It was the same me that ran it before that was running it still. So what we decided to do was we got an advisor who we paid, a consultant who we paid. And my husband had a good friend who was also in business, a successful business, and we formed a small advisory committee among ourselves. So each week we would have lunch together. Costed me one consultant and a friend and lunch. And after that, I decided not to sell the business, thank God. Thank God. Yes, so that was for us. And, you know, the lesson learned there is get together a group. A lot of people tell you, I don't have time, I'm so busy. You don't have time to succeed? Wow. So that's my lesson learned that I would share with companies. You need your people who spend a little time with you. Talk to them. Don't just phone up your advisors when you can't make payroll. I always use that clause because that is so common. Oh my gosh, my cash flow. Call me the week before and ask me, you know, what should we be doing? You should be you should be having a project plan where you're either deciding how to improve your cash flow. If you need funds to make the first few months payroll before your projected profit, you just need to be always, I don't want to say treadmill, it's not. It's a slow moving treadmill where you're just constantly moving forward. So, you know, as I said before, leadership was one of the foothold of the foundation. Of course, the collaboration is the other one. But through the advisory committee, we have developed a model for business success. And one of them is project management. The other one is projecting and financials. And we know people don't love to hear this, especially within the creative sector. But we have to find a way to say it that engages them. So if you can't project what's going to happen to you, then you're just going to have to take anything that happens, and then you look at it afterwards. It's like buying furniture for a room. You're going to get a room to rent. What you're going to buy? What furniture you're going to put in there? Oh, I like king-size bed. Then when you bring the bed, you realize the bed don't really fit the room. It's the wrong size. So you have to have a vision in your head, not only for your business and your talent, you have to have a vision in your head for how much money you want to make. I spoke with a young lady last week, and she was like, I'd love to make 20% more profit. And I'm like, how much are you able to produce? And she was like, maybe 100 times more. I said, well, you know, there's night and day. When Honeybun used up all our daytime hours, we went into 24 hours. I want you to increase your sales by 100%. And then let's talk about how much you want to increase your profit by. So it's a matter of projecting what you want to achieve. Who wants to achieve little and nothing? Nobody. Think big. Think about as much as you can do and allow yourself to fall short if you have to. But think big. You have to think big now in figures. So you got to put the figures on the paper to see what happens at the bottom. And this can be very dull, but trust me, when I've sat with people to work out their projected P&L and they see what they can make at the bottom, they get so excited. They're like, I can do that? And I remember one particular company, she did it. She said, I can really do that? I said, yes. And we broke it down. So we said, if you want to sell $1 million in a month, then you have to make 500,000 every 2 weeks, 250,000 for 1 week. So you have to talk to them about making it be real. And when you say, okay, you're going to make 250 a week, how many products do you need to sell? And then you go to the marketing. How much marketing do you need to spend to make that 250? And so we have a conversation which keeps resulting in numbers on a spreadsheet. So I talk about spreadsheet, and that's critical. You know, you cannot go into business if you can't put together a spreadsheet, or you don't have somebody in your business who can do a spreadsheet for you, who understands it and uses it to motivate you to what you need to do. So if you need to sell 250 a week and you have to spend $10,000 on marketing, then you just have to do that. And when you stop sending that 10,000, then you may find that your sales fall. You might find that when you do 15, it increases. So you have to adjust as you go along, but you have to have a plan. So your plan is what you turn out in your financials. Financials are not numbers on paper. They're your thoughts, your vision on paper. So don't back away from it. If you can't do it, call Mrs. Chong or get somebody who can help you to do it. It may be hard at the beginning, but it gets easier when you can put it into a visual format. So getting funding to grow your business is critical because you didn't get in business to stay the same size. I looked at a company's business plan this week, and I noted that she had the same monthly income throughout the year. And I'm like, no, this isn't a business plan. This is just a one-off. Are you going to do this for 1 month? And my thoughts to her, and I want to share with the SMEs who are listening, is that you have to be able to grow your business. So if you have a financial projection, the P&L projection that we spoke of earlier, this is another reason it's so critical. You have to project it into the future. First, you project 12 months of sales while you're a startup or where you are now. Then you need to project year 2, year 3, year 4. Sometimes I go 3 years, very rarely I go 5 years right now. But once you start to do that, you will start to see, oh, but I can't produce so much, so you need some equipment. What is your bottleneck equipment? It could be your packaging machine. So you say, okay, I need a packaging machine at this time. So I'm going to have to get $10 million for that packaging machine. Your cash flow is not going to have $10 million quite so easy. So you have to figure out now, how do I get money? So you can have loans, you can get equity. There are different ways in which you can have access to money, grants. I know Exim has helped Honeybun a lot in the past. The other thing is that once you put that capital investment in your business, then you have to escalate your sales as a result of having that equipment. So now in your financial plan, instead of making $1 million every month, you're going to have to put that you're now making 1.2, 1.3. And you can graduate your income year over year by saying, I'm going to accelerate by 1.15 or 15% a year. Then when you put that in the spreadsheet, it will tell you how much net profit you're earning. Without getting complicated, you can see the return on that investment. How long will it take me to pay for that investment? So these are things spreadsheet can calculate for you if you have the right person working on your formulas for you. So it's very critical that businesses prepare to ask for money by having their historic financial performance and their projected financial projections. So those are very critical things to have ready. The other thing too that I would definitely encourage businesses to do, besides their advisory board of course, is to try to understand what sound corporate governance means. Because this is something I think Honeybun was lucky to have from the beginning. But corporate governance is about how you run your business. It keeps you honest, it keeps you safe, and it also puts you on the path for significant success. Subtle success that you may not know it's doing. But when you're talking to an investor, if they sense that you have good governance in your business, it's what results in trust. You can't borrow money from anybody if they don't trust you. So you have to be able to say things that you do and do things that you say you do that engages that trust relationship. because nobody's going to lend you money, not money, if they don't trust you. So you have to be honest about your business. You have to have regular meetings so that your investor knows that you are talking about important matters to do with the business with people who have experience. You have to keep minutes. Those are not exciting things, but critical things. So succession planning, which is a critical part of business, maybe not the first thing you do when you start up, but certainly once you're on the road and you begin to find that you have a little more time, or even before then, you need to start to think about it. The funny thing about succession planning that I've recently learned is that you can really start earlier than you think. Because once you're hiring more talented people, then the process can begin. It's a funny thing though, because if you have talented people, you almost want to switch them out and put them somewhere else that is ailing. But you always have to bear in the back of your mind, what are your plans if this person should get sick? What is my plan if I should get ill and have to leave the business? Who would take over? So those have to be ongoing thoughts. What would happen? So it could be as simple as you have a production manager. When that person goes on leave, who is taking over their role? And then how are you preparing them for that role? You have to document how you do things, because that's part of succession. Because when new people come in, they may not know how to do things. I had an HR manager at one time, and I said to her, how is it you're so bright? How is it you know how to do it? She said, but Mrs. Chong, you have SOPs, I'm reading them. So that was cute, because she was doing what you should do. A lot of people come in and they think, oh, I'm a bright person, and they just go straight to it. But you know, you can update the SOPs, and so your successor will now have an improved SOP. So that is like a nugget in succession. You have to document your procedures so other people can take them over. There are other things outside of procedure that cannot be transferred by documenting them. The things about who you are, what type of leader are you. And so you have to start to develop that in people. So succession is a HR issue, human resource issue. How are you developing people? And what are you developing them to do? I like to start from the point of what is your passion. People who I've interviewed might remember I would have asked them, what is your passion? Except for this job, what is it that you love? And then you lodge that and say to yourself, you know, Anita likes to do this, that, or the other. She likes to paint. Okay, so when you have a marketing event, call Anita to do something artistic for you. And then you'll be able to begin to engage employees in things they like. And when they're finished, they say, oh, that was so much fun. And then at another time, something will come up when you say, you know, that position, Anita would really do well in that position because she likes it. And when she volunteered, she did so well. The fact is that we have talents for different reasons. And we are being led in different directions. Your passion for what you like is in your purpose. So if you can keep working with employees to do what they like, then your succession is already developing. As for Honeybun, my son, who is this deputy CEO, did his training in engineering. So he's fit for that position. And I've been grooming them for many years. I didn't say to my children, you have to come back to work in the company. The fact is that it just happened. Maybe I planted a seed in my head long ago. I don't know. And my other son, who studied business, he's a marketing and distribution director. So those are successions that have worked. They took years of planting and growing and never pushed it. It just happened. So very lucky we have that sort of succession in the making. And a lot of people can do the same. So creativity and adaptability are
critical skills for all businesses, SMEs and otherwise. And I'll tell you a little advantage of being small and medium size. It's easier to be adaptable because the parts can move more quickly. Bigger corporations, they can't change so quick. It takes them years. So I like to think modular, and I think that if you have your business set up where you can change different things at different times, it's very good because then you can also be creative. So after COVID, the whole way in which business is done, we had to be creative. Look how quickly we went online for training. Oh my goodness. The foundation was in a online, face-to-face training calendar, and we had to just switch that out to be online very quickly. But the advantages that it had, we had one company who went from face-to-face to online, and when he had 10 or 20, not even 20, very few online persons, when we spoke to him after the program, he had people from as far as Africa now that he was training online. So there were significant advantages. And that was just from something changing. How do you create an opportunity out of change? You have to be creative. He could have sat there and he could have said, well, you know, woe is me. You cannot afford to look back. Frankly, you don't have time to do woe is me. While you're doing woe is me, your competitors are being adaptable, creative. How do they do things? So the online training was an easy one. But there are more technical things. There are more challenges that there are. But there are so many opportunities in some of these challenges. CO2, challenges to opportunity. So adaptability is a critical tool. At Honeybun, our mission is to lead, achieve, and serve. Our lead is to lead through innovation. Not do a me too. Don't do some. You can do things other people are doing, you know, but put something more to it. Add your flavor to it. And that's your creativity. It doesn't have to be anything massive. It could be just the color of something. It could be how you package it. But keep being creative because that's what we are as a nation. We're a creative people. We have a lot of talent. We have a lot of creativity. Let's use those creativity, talent, and adaptability to make brilliant changes. We have a lot of things happening. We have the gentleman that did the sorrel machine to reap sorrel. We have a lot of herbs in Jamaica that are nutritional. How are we using them to grow as a country, to export more, to beat our competitors globally? And the other thing about that is that one of the adaptability that I want to mention is that we work in the past as an organization that competes, but we have so many more opportunities when we collaborate. I have a young lady now from a company that we do the advisory board with. She couldn't make an order that she got. She was asked to make a product. She couldn't meet the order. So she called us up, and it was a big product. And she said, can you make it for me? And I said, yes, we have the capacity. That's collaboration. How do we work together? How do we end the days when we send samples abroad and then when we get the order, we can't do them? We have to come together as a country. That is collaboration, that is adaptability, and that's creativity. So we can win when we begin to actually think about, they say out of the box, think outside the box. But outside the box is bigger than inside the box. So definitely think about how we can work together more. I'm a bakery, she's a bakery, but I'm helping her. How are we going to work together to make a better Jamaica?